Hello there, Ray here, and the newest version for the Aquatic update is out, and this is the 1.13 pre-release 4. And with it comes some new changes to observers that can almost be considered features, as well as some major fixes to do with water. Last night we did a stream all about bug fixes for 1.13 and pointing out some really annoying ones that still existed in the game. Now if you were along for that stream, you may have noticed that some of these that we pointed out as being fixed during that stream are also fixed in this version, but now we can see how they implemented those fixes. We also cover some bugs that were still yet to be fixed. So hopefully they'll fix those in the next versions. And if you guys do have a bug that hasn't been fixed in this version and still continues to annoy you, be sure to tell me down in the comments. So the biggest change in this version is to do with observers. They added a new feature where when you place down an observer, it doesn't put a power out. So pretty much every time you're placing observers in building and you place down one of them, you don't have to worry about them creating power to the next door block. This is actually really nice, and we talked to Grum, and initially he said this wasn't possible to do because it was linked up with some other code to do with pistons placing blocks, but somehow he figured out how to do it, and I'm really happy he listened to us because this makes it really nice to build with observers. That's really cool, and he also fixed a bug just the way he redid the fix, or the prior fix, where when you would move observers with a piston, they weren't powering properly, and he pretty much made it so that it works similar to 1.12. Probably have to do more testing to figure it out, but Warbin made a nice example of what would you expect for 1.12. And in this example, we are creating an update here, which is updating this observer as well as this observer at the same time. And then after 2 game ticks, this piston will power, and after 2 game ticks, this observer will power. And because it takes time for the piston to extend, you'll see that this observer is powering right before it's being moved. But by the time it gets over here, it's not able to power this redstone lamp. So if I would flick this lever over here, that redstone lamp should not turn on. And it's a little bit hard to see, but maybe if I stand over here, you should be able to see that the observer is lighting up. But he's only lighting up during the beginning of it. And pretty much what's happening is that he's sending out his power, but by the time he gets over here, he's done sending out his power. He's not sending any more power to this block over here. And he has some other examples, pretty much the same thing, just updates happening at different times and the power being sent over. So it seems to be working. We'll have to look at it a little more to see exactly if it's working as it did in 1.12. Most people probably want to know if it works with the flying machine. As you can see the new feature with you're able to place down observers and they don't update the flying machine. And let's say you do want to update the flying machine, you always place down like a block right here to update it. And it seems that the flying machine works properly. They fixed the bug with waterlogged blocks that prevent the explosions from TNT from going through them and destroying nearby blocks. So if we light up this TNT, we should be able to see that the explosion occurs but doesn't destroy the waterlogged blocks or nearby blocks. Now this is really useful because this allows you to be able to align TNT more precisely with different types of waterlogged blocks and not worry about it destroying the nearby blocks. And this also applies to the bubble column blocks. So if we come over here and put in some TNT, we should also see that the bubble column blocks can hold in the explosions as well. Now if you're using the ascending water columns, and this will be done with Solzan, and you light up the TNT, it's going to try to launch it upwards. If you do hold it down, you can see that it does contain the explosions within it. Now if the TNT would fall downwards and it would go into, as you guys know, soul sand is a little bit lower, it would go into that little groove that's able to destroy the soul sand but not the water. They went ahead and fixed so withers aren't able to ignore blocks that are beside them when they're shooting out the wither skulls. So in previous snapshots, the withers could shoot off their skulls, and pretty much didn't matter what type of block was in there, the wither skull would not collide with it. Instead, it would just kind of ignore it for a little while. And then once it got out a little ways, then it started actually remembering what types of blocks it's running into, and if it would run into a block, then it would blow up as wither skulls normally do. Now you can see that there is some changes here. As you see, there is no explosions whatsoever with these skulls. If we listen, you can hear that they get summoned. They're automatically getting removed because they're hitting the bedrock. This is only slightly different than 1.12, where you would see the wither skulls and you also hear the explosion, but pretty much it's exactly the same. You don't see the wither skulls because they're immediately removed. And before, the game was a little bit slow to removing them. And the explosions themselves, they must be dampened inside the bedrock. So I don't mind this change. It's nothing like game breaking. It's just some visuals. Other than that, it seems like withers are pretty consistent as they are in 1.12. It'll probably take a little more testing to figure all what has changed. Looks like the main head is trying to focus on this target here, and when it does come in line with the main head, he's able to shoot at it. Now if he would have a target above him, okay, currently he's actually looking at probably the squid over here or something. Yeah, he's looking at the squid, so see his head's turned that way, but if we would stick a villager in front of these side heads, like right here, we should be able to see him turn his side heads towards one of these guys. Maybe if we put one over here. There we go. Now you can see the side heads are attempting to shoot at this villager, although they're not quite pointing what you expect them to point, but that's okay. They fixed the really annoying bug that I talked about quite a bit during a few of my videos, where if you put down 2 water sources and then you block off the top one, it does not destroy the bottom one. And yeah, this is a pretty major one. I'm really glad that they fixed it. Now they said they fixed another bug, which does with projectiles not colliding with a nearby block that's in front of them, and this doesn't seem to be fixed in my testing. So here we got some snowballs and a block in front of it. You can see a snowball goes right on through this block. Same goes for like the snowman. He's really close to this husk and he's trying to shoot at it. And the snowballs are not colliding with this husk. I believe they're colliding with this glass pane over here. And similar, we can do the same thing. Like we can shoot at this fern here. And it's hard to see, but snowballs are colliding with this fern. When you go inside of it, we're able, yeah, we're directly inside of it, but we're able to shoot our snowballs out. And there's even a cow over there. I could probably hit that cow. Yeah, you can see that this fern is not making, having the snowballs collide with it. So the next bug that they fix is that water wasn't going to the sides when it was placed without blocks underneath it. So you can see here how the water source is set here, and it does spread out to each of these sides. Before, it would just go straight down, and I actually liked how it was before, although it wasn't consistent with lava. If you guys messed around with lava, you would see that lava kept its old characteristics where it would flow outwards, and maybe that's why they changed this so that it was more consistent throughout the different liquids. So if you put this lava in, you'll see that it also comes out to each of the sides, and then it goes downwards. Now, when I first seen this bug, I initially thought it was about something else because the way it is worded is a little bit strange. But when we're looking at the different types of bugs yesterday on stream, there is this bug here, and I'm kind of curious if they fixed it or not, where if you would have a water source directly above a trapdoor, it wouldn't flow out to the side. Now it does, so that has been fixed. Although it was nice that the water went straight down, it did cause some problems when you would like remove water out of ocean and it wouldn't replenish itself. They fixed a funny bug to do with compasses where when you would rotate, the needle would not point in the right direction as some rotations. And it seems to be correct as I rotate, it's always keeping the same direction. It's kind of funny, the other day on stream, we were trying to find where spawn was, and I was using a compass, and it kept, every time I turned, it would start pointing like opposite directions, and it was pretty funny. They fixed a bug to do with the locate command. Previously, there was in some cases in like the negative coordinates where the game would have trouble generating structures, so then when you use the locate command, it would have trouble finding these types of structures. And now you can see it's not as bad. You can see it finds it fairly quickly. Before, it could really leg up your game and cause quite a bit of trouble. Now you can even click on the teleport and it should teleport you to that structure as well. And it seems like the game is doing fairly well. It takes a little while to load it up. And it's supposed to be a buried treasure here. And it seems to be working. You can see there is a buried treasure here. They fix a bug to do with the ocean. Sometimes there'll be little patches of the ocean that allow you to see pretty clearly all the way down to the very bottom. There was a pretty odd bug that had to do with iron golems. When they were spawned from a village, they would be spawned inside of blocks, and they wouldn't pay attention to like what blocks were there before being spawned, and this allowed them to be like inside of the ground and suffocate and stuff. So they have now fixed this. There was a bug to do with enchanted books losing their enchantments when you would upgrade, and they have now solved this. This is a pretty funny spawner here. You can see that it tried to place 2 chests, but the chests did not connect up. So there are 2 individual chests. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but that's pretty funny. When making a buffet world, you use the customization here. They now have organized all the different biomes in alphabetical order, so it's a lot easier to find them. You don't have to keep hopping around trying to look for the biome that you're trying to find. Although they still use the new name, so you might not be familiarized where they would be located at. You're probably wondering what happens then if you place down an observer by another one, making an observer clock. And it does make a clock, although power does come out in a situation like this where the last repeater is always powered. So when you remove that one, this one's always powered, and so on and so on. So yeah, it's a bit bizarre. And it looks like this pulse may be every 4 game ticks. It's hard to tell. So it did look like that one was 4 game ticks, and it looks like even if you push the observer in with a piston, it's also 4 game ticks. I just took a screenshot to freeze the game. I guess you could do this too. And that looks like 4 game ticks. They also said that they have added in some performance improvements. Now, just during my testing here, I haven't really noticed any improvements unless they're just minor ones. Some major changes to the way the observers work, as well as water mechanics. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and if you guys found this interesting, show me with a like and share this with others. If you'd like to see more updates about the 1.13 Aquatic update, as well as things that can be done in it, such as farms and mechanics, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as hit the bell button so you get notifications whenever I send out a video. Now if you have any questions about these bugs, or any bugs that you found in your game that you would like to have fixed, please tell me down in the comments. Goodbye!